Tonight on Island Style TV, we visit a historic location once known for its pineapples and now sugarcane. See hands-on how to make Agricole rum, learn more about how the cab is giving back to Kama'aina, and find out how you could win a free trip to Las Vegas. We're here at historic Kunia Camp, now known as Manulele Distillers. It is just a short drive from town and on the way to the North Shore. Let's go check it out. Hi, Kyle. All right, so tell me a little bit about the co that we have here, the sugarcane.
So everything that we grow at Manulele Distillers is heirloom Hawaiian sugarcane. So these are quite literally canoe plants, things that came across the seas with the very first settlers, well before a written language, before any of sort of the commodity sugar that we know from the plantation era. So right here we actually have Ko Manulele, which is frankly the cane that made us fall in love and do this project the way that we've done it. So this is one of those original heirloom canes and has these fantastic love stories, and frankly for our needs is just delicious.
And it's your namesake now too, right?
Indeed.
Oh my gosh, wonderful. What's the difference between rum and Agricole rum, or what does Agricole rum mean?
Yeah, so it's just the starting material. So instead of using a byproduct from another industry, say molasses, which is about 99% of the world's rum is made that way, we use fresh sugarcane juice. So instead of processing it at all, we just run it through a roller mill, and that's our starting material. So that's Agricole rum.
Okay.
It's a French designation. They sort of invented the style. The rest of the world's rums are rum traditional or rum industrial.
Okay, and does it give it a different flavor or a different taste?
Absolutely. I mean, think of it almost like a vintner treats grapes. Like all of the canes taste different. They have different characteristics, different sugar levels. So we treat them individually as single varietals. But even within that, the difference between Agricole and molasses-based rums is you get this like floral, fragrant, big, robust rum that's kind of coming to you. Our rum wants to be your friend.
Okay.
Whereas a lot of them sit a little lower. They're a little more foreboding and kind of actually a little more sweet even.
And you're supporting local.
Yeah, I mean, we grow everything here. So we have our own farmers, our production team, our sales team. We do everything from grass to glass.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you're also located in the old Del Monte general store.
Indeed.
And, you know, taking something that was very historic in terms of the farming community and doing that again, kind of a rebirth.
Hoping to. I mean, we think that, I mean, there's a little bit that goes around just trying to make the best thing possible. And the way to do that is controlling inputs all the way to outputs. But that involves having a team that really goes from top to bottom. So yeah, being in the old Del Monte general store gives us sort of a historic basing. Like we have to understand where we sit next to Kunia Village, where all the ag workers lived for Del Monte. Understanding that the post office was in there, the barber shop, all the different things, and we get to occupy that space now and sort of get to pass that on. Whereas I think a lot of sugarcane history is getting pushed to the side now. Agricultural history just in general.
Yeah, definitely. What makes your guys' rum so special? I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but...
I mean, I think there's really three things that differentiate us from almost anybody in the world. The first is we're vertically integrated, so we do everything ourselves. It's like a winemaker making an estate wine. It's a rarity even in that field. Doing it in spirits business is incredible. So that's the first thing that differentiates us. The second is growing heirloom co, growing these old Hawaiian sugar canes and using them to make something that really pops and really is indicative of the co. That's why our name Kohana, the work of the sugarcane, is there. We want people to know it came from something of the ground, Hawaii. And the last thing we do is we only use one varietal type at a time right now. So all you're getting is tasting Ko Manulele by itself, not mixed with anything else. Tasting Kokea, tasting Papa'a or Pili Mai or any of the 34 varietals that we have in our collection.
So you're ultimately, when you purchase the rum, it's a one of a kind.
Indeed.
And you move on to the next varietal or the next batch and it's never going to be quite the same?
Yeah, and it's going to change a little bit. The terroir is going to change depending on the year, depending on which field it came from, all of those things. So you get these really unique products that all of them have sort of the same baseline. They're all going to be big floral rums, but they have their little nuances that differentiate them.
All right, I know we're going to check out the distillery as well, but you do more than just rum also.
Yeah. So we have a neighbor lettuce farm, Kunia Country Farms. We have coffee that we get from Chad Lou's coffee roaster out in Kailua. We barrel age it in our barrels and then sell that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Does it have like a little rum essence?
It is. It's more of like, I like to think of it as like a late afternoon or an evening time coffee if
Okay.
you're that type of coffee drinker, because it's got that dry, rummy flavor to it. And then we also do a barrel aged honey, which is pretty cool. So Big Island bees, we get their lehua blossom or mixed blossom honeys and barrel age those. And it sort of does the same thing where it dries it out. It's really, really good in like a hot toddy or just a little nip with your green tea.
All right. Well, we're gonna have much more ahead on Island Style TV. Thanks, Kyle. All right, we're back, and this is where the magic happens at Manulele Distillers, Kohana Rum.
Indeed.
It smells
Take
really
it in.
good. It's kind of got like a citrusy smell.
Absolutely, yeah. And right now he's distilling a really fantastic green cane, so it's really fragrant, really interesting.
I love it. So how does it work? How do they do it?
Yeah, so there's really 4 parts of any sort of spirit production. The first is something being grown, so agricultural. We talked about the sugar cane, and that's where it all begins. Then you have fermentation, then distillation, and then your post-production portion. So fermentation is the creation of alcohol. It's yeast consuming accessible sugars and making booze. So at that point you'd have like a beer or a wine or a cider. And that's kind of the base starting point, is this little microbe creating alcohol for us to enjoy. I mean, it's the beginning of everything. Then we're gonna take that, put it inside of a still and heat it up, and that's distillation. So distillation is gonna be the concentration of flavor. So we're going to take a 10% alcohol sugarcane wine and be able to make a rum that's about 80 proof. So 160. So you're gonna heat it up, and as it begins to boil, the ethanol vapors start traveling up, and they're separating from the rest of it, which is mostly water.
Okay.
So you're gonna basically be able to concentrate all of the ethanol, and that's gonna become Kohana Rum. And you're gonna leave behind the rest of that solution, which is mostly water and a couple other flavors. And that's what we do, yeah.
And so how much do you produce? Because I feel like this isn't that big.
No. We're not small as some guys are, but we aren't a multinational corporation by any stretch of the imagination. We produce about 100 proof gallons a week. So to put that in perspective, that's about 2 minutes worth of time at any of the big boys. So we make in a week what they make in about 2 to 5 minutes, which is crazy to think about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. And so what's happening right here?
So behind us we have, coming off of the parrot is our distillate. So that's the very end of the whole process, is rum actually coming off of the end there. And so our distillery team will actually sit there, be tasting, nosing, and deciding what's good enough to be called Kohana Rum. There's really 3 parts of any run. And it's gonna be the heads, the hearts, and the tails. And the heads and the tails aren't good enough to be the rum. So we actually separate them off. Right now is actually tails coming off. This is not stuff that will ever become our rum because it's just not good enough. So what we do is we make these sort of quality decisions all based on our palate. So Noah, who was distilling today, has already made the choice, like, none of this is good enough to be called Kohana Rum. This is gonna get either redistilled or pitched into another batch later and reprocessed, but we won't put it into a bottle and pretend it's good when it's not.
All right, fascinating. Yeah. And people can tour here as well?
Absolutely, yeah. So one of the really cool things about this project is we're able to show everybody sugarcane being grown, fermentation happening, distillation. We put big windows on our distillery because we want people to see. I want there to be a transparency in what we do, and I think that that's a big part of getting rid of some of the scary parts about spirits production. We'll just show you whatever you want to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Come and check it out. Do you have the tours every day? Or
7 days a week.
7 days a week.
10 a.m. we start them up. They end at 2:30, but our tasting room's up until 5. So we want to be here for everybody.
So cool. A great place to check out.
For sure.
Thanks so much. Island Style TV, we'll be right back.